I wanted to share also a bit about why I'm doing this and how like what's kind of the story and the background that brought me here. And I feel today I have even more stories to tell. But initially, how I got to do this session is, I've spent many years in the corporate world, and honestly, for the bigger part of it, they were very happy years. I was feeling successful. I was feeling happy. I learned a lot. I grew a lot. So it was good. But there were times when little bits and pieces happened and I kind of like ignored them at that point. And then a bigger shift happened where the company was bought by a different company, and then all this company culture and values kind of changed. And then so I did feel that pressure a bit more and that change. And I remember feeling like I was happier before, and I couldn't necessarily identify specifically what was going on. But I just knew I was happier before. I was more aligned. The values of the company were more aligned to what I was looking for in a company. And all of a sudden, it kind of felt like this disconnect, right? And at that point, I'll be honest, I wasn't really listening to myself and to what was trying to surface and to tell me that it's not you're not where you should be, and this is not aligned to what your values are anymore and with yourself. And I spent maybe about 3 years in this situation, and I feel like it kind of got a bit worse and worse. And then so this new company that acquired our the old company I was working for, basically they were firing people every 6 months. So they had rounds of layoffs, and it was kind of tough, like seeing colleagues go away. And um yeah, and there was like a lot of uncertainty, and the people that remained there felt uncertain. There was also more work going around because the work never really disappeared. It was just there and redistributed. And so, long story short, I was just feeling like more numb, more like autopilot, more like I know this is not right, but I wasn't really looking into what was happening, and I wasn't really listening to myself. I was just kind of in a way complacent, I guess, with the space, with the place I was in. And I was like, well, it's, money's good enough, and I'll just like continue like this and it's fine. And then the day came where I was part of the layoff, and that was kind of the universe telling me, now you need to listen. Now you need to kind of, stop and assess what's going on with you, because you've been feeling all this all along. You haven't listened. Now you have the time, and you need to think about what you will be doing from now on and for the rest of your life, basically. So you need to kind of stop, pause, listen, and adjust moving forward. So that's kind of how this webinar came about. And it is part of a bigger space that I'm working on. But it was one of those like things where I honestly took many steps back, and many I kind of like I want to consider it like an onion, peel the layers and layer and layer and layer. And I kind of thought about different things, and I tried different things. And I was kind of doing, well, I'm still doing some freelancing, and it got me closer to what I wanted to do, but it was like not exactly that 100%. So while I was peeling these layers, I discovered actually what I feel in my soul that I should be doing, and what's kind of been building over time with my career and with my clients and the work that I've been doing so far. And it just clicked at some point when once I calmed myself enough to listen well enough to what I was like trying to tell myself. So yeah, so that's how this came about. At the same time, while I was like peeling my layers. I was also reconnecting with other women. I was talking to them about, what they're experiencing. And also I had other colleagues that were in the same situation at that point where we were all let go, all of us. And we were just like talking, and it just seemed like there's a common ground, and that I wasn't the only one feeling like unaligned, or I mean, at that point, I didn't necessarily use the word aligned, but it felt like we were stretched thin. We were, working, 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 grinding. It was a lot of responsibility, a lot of output, and we were doing great, but it's just like we were not feeling like we were doing great. It just like felt like it's never ending. It's like on and on and on. Um, so then I realized, like, okay, it's not just me. Maybe it's not just me. Maybe there's other women out there that are experiencing the same thing. And maybe, we can all together work on this, and figuring it out. So just analyzing how we were asked to do, it was always kind of like do more with less, right? And at some point I even remember the company was saying proudly, like, we're doing more with less. And I'm like, that's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, you think you're being you're optimizing, you think you're being efficient, but actually that more with less was taking our energy, was taking from us. And it was like we were covering that less with our own, beings and our own feelings. And so it was our own expense. And in the end, like, you could feel it. Like, people would take holidays off just to kind of recharge because they just couldn't do it anymore. And so it's like, how normal is to take a holiday from your work because you can't, like, you're at breaking point, instead of like taking holiday to go and enjoy and replenish, and but in a more balanced kind of way, right? Um, so yeah, so I mean, that's basically the reason why this webinar exists, and why I'm creating this space which is called Inner Compass Lab. I just want to help women like myself to move towards their dreams with clarity and self-trust, to give tools and a space to slow down and basically find that inner little voice that we keep on hushing and silencing. As I was saying, the women that I'm talking to and for and about are very capable. They're responsible. They're performing super well. I mean, they're high performers. They tackle anything that it's thrown at them. Like, it's kind of like, oh, I can do so much more, and then all of a sudden they have three times the workload, and they can still do well with it. They're disciplined, they're intelligent. The only thing that I see that they lack is the space to pause and to listen to this little inner voice. So this space today, I hope, will bring you that. And the bigger space that I'm creating is basically designed for that.